Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Virtual Ninja Show. My name is Javier Soriano, and today we're going to be talking about Sentinel Graph. And for that, I have my friend and colleague, Yaniv. Yaniv, hello. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, Javier. Happy to be here. My name is Yaniv Shasha, and I'm a principal product manager at Microsoft. As of now, part of the Sentinel Lake, doing a lot of MCP and graphs.
Very good, fantastic. So, a very basic question to start with. What is a security graph? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so at its core, like Sentinel Graph and Security Graph, is a unified graph analytics capability within Microsoft Sentinel. It basically lets you model, analyze, visualize relationship across your digital estate that include user, devices, cloud resources, data flow, activity, and some attack action. But Javier, this is an actually graph database engine. Like people sometimes mistakenly with a Microsoft Graph, and this is like the API that me and you spend a lot of time. Yeah. So this is totally different in Sentinel. In Microsoft Graph, you cannot run sophisticated algorithm and traverse on the graph. With our new Sentinel Graph, this is the thing. So it's a full-fledged database that allows you to model the data with node, edges, relationship. Hopefully I answer your question.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see it now in a demo. Can you maybe tell us what is the value that these security graphs bring to a SOC?
Me and you spend a lot of time with SOC people, and we know that between us, 99% of the SOC analyst work live in the tabular world. Yeah, they are doing SPM, Splunk, doing Custo, KQL, SQL, and I even heard that Excel is still rule on the SOC. Yeah.
100%.
Doing select, join, union, where, filtering. So this is like basically a relationship algebra that is super relevant to a specific scenario. Like show me all the failed login from specific IP, filter event on user agent. But where is graph is shine is this type of question. For example, is there attack path from my compromised test account to a production? What is the blast radius for my service account? Maybe it's get compromised. Show me all the entities within 3 hops of this malicious IP. So yeah, you can travel and ask super complex question.
Fantastic. So can you tell us a bit about the different use cases that we announced? I believe that Sentinel Graph went GA just a few weeks ago, right? And so what are the different use cases that this Sentinel Graph capability enables for the SOC?
Before that, allow me, Javier, to just explain the atomic component, what is node, what is edges, and then we will jump. Okay, so nodes, they are basically the thing, the user, the device, the IP address, the key vault, the service account. And edges, they are basically the connection between the thing. Edge can be user that log into device, service principal that has permission to a specific thing, account member to a group. This is the edges. And hops is the steps between the two nodes. User to device is one hop. User to device to an IP address is second hops. This is matter because direct access is easy to audit, but 3 hop transit access is becoming hard. And the traversals is the journey through the graph. You will see me a lot in the demo how I travel into the graph. I will take you with me to a trip today. So this travel is what is the app between the app, the path between the app to production. So from a use case perspective, and this is I'm going back to your question, we have very popular use case around blast radius. So this is like the pre-breach. something get compromised, how bad is it? We have attack path discovery from proactive side before even something breach. What path exists from internet exposed asset to my crown jewel? We have inside the risk use case, like data movement. And I will show you a demo with inside the risk, like how we can see sensitive file move through your organization. We can also show hidden relationship. This is where also graph shine, like showing multi-hop exposure chain. Graph can catch it. And at least is prioritization. Like I have vulnerability in my environment, show me the critical parts of these vulnerabilities and help me prioritize what to investigate first.
Perfect, Yaniv. Let's not wait anymore and let's go into the demo now.
Okay, let me tell you a story, Javier. You know that I like to tell stories, yeah?
Please.
So during my quality time, I normally read the Thread Intel articles. This is what I like to do in my spare time. In this week...
Not bad, not bad.
And this week, I spent time exploring Granny Typhoon, also known as Phantom Panda, a Chinese nation-state actor that targets the telco company. So one of the techniques that this actor leverage is deleting files to evade detection. I was reading about how this actor using living on the land tools, specifically PowerShell. So this is like the article of PowerShell that share about defense evasion, and it's also shows some parameters, how they are using to hide the PowerShell script. Okay, so I'm taking this information and going to my tabular world, advanced hunting, and I'm running a query against my lake around 180 days, PowerShell with all the arguments. Let me run it, that I will show you that this is a real result. Once I will get it back, I see pair, device, and account that actually doing this hidden activity. So this is a bit I have results. Let's see how I can take this information into the graph and showing relationship between these two entities. Okay, so now when I go into the advanced hunting and I press the plus button, I have a new icon here that's called hunting graph. And this is a predefined scenario that our security researcher defined about like graph exploration question that we can ask about the model, the node and the edges. Okay, in our use case, I will want to find path between two entities, and I will add the username here and the computer here. So let me show you that I already did it. This is our user, and let's run it. And during this run, you will see how I'm querying the graph real time. I see my user, I see the computer. Immediately, I see a layer of vulnerability on this PC. This is a device node. This is a device of a user. This is the edge, the relationship. In this case, it can authenticate too. And now I want to ask more questions about this relationship. I see immediately this is a crown jewel device. Let me expand it. Okay, now when I expand it, I'm in real live query the graph, finding interesting thing on the graph.
I wanted to ask you one simple thing. Like, I'm a customer, a partner that is watching this, and I want to know, hey, look, this is fantastic. It looks great. What do I need to get it, right? What do I need to start using the hunting graph?
Just having the Sentinel Lake and onboarding into the graph, you will have the banner. You need to come with the right permission. It's normally take like 24, a bit more to build it. And then we are refreshing the graph for you every day. And that's it. You saw the entry point. Super simple.
Perfect.
Okay. Continue with the story. Canvin, our user, has access to a managed identity or to a cookie. You see that enter a user cookie. And I can keep asking questions about the data and seeing relationship and maybe expand and expand and expand. This is the hunting graph. You have the predefined scenario. This is pre-breach, yeah? I have my hypothesis, my crazy weekend, but now this is the real work. Let's talk about detection. How we add this graph during the narrative or the workflow of the user. So I have now a DLP alerts here. The attack story, we all know from Defender, telling who the relationship, user, file, IP. I see that I have some sensitive activity around the generative AI site. Immediately I see that I have a device here, and I want to check like the susceptibility of something bad happen, like what can be wrong if someone will compromise this Windows 11 machine. So when I press it, because I onboarded to the graph, because we built it, immediately I see the view plus radius algorithm. And when I press on it, now we are again query the graph real time and seeing susceptible or walkable paths. This is how we like to call them. Into the target need to be like very important machine, like crown jewel device. In this case, this Windows 11 has multiple paths, two paths basically, to the key vault. And what is the path? The path is we are revealing a new user here because in this machine, someone dropped again a cookie, and this cookie is belong to, and we can see the relationship of the edge. So this cookie is belong to a user account. The user account can authenticate with this cookie, and this user account has access to 4 key vaults.
I'm going to ask you another question, and I know this is going to come from our customers. If they want to get these two experiences that you just showed, the advanced hunting or hunting on graph, and then the blast radius, do they need to pay anything for these services?
No. So this is part of the Sentinel Lake. I will show you the next demo will be around IRM, and in IRM inside the risk and DSI, we need to have this product and we need to ingest the relevant data. But if the data is in the lake, we build the graph for you.
Fantastic.
Okay, and I mentioned inside the risk. Let me jump into a different browser and show you a different demo. This is my inside the risk portal. Yeah, inside the risk, we know that this is like a very popular attack surface. Is something that starts from inside. We don't need the credential compromise. In this case, I have an alert that call Project Obsidian that is relevant to some data exploitation. And we see the tabular view of my data, some activity from file download from SharePoint, and some access file. Super hard to read and tell the story. So now, because we build the graph, you will have this new tab here. When you are pressing it, we are building on the last 30 days of the data and building relationship between the activity, the access of the file, the user. So in real life, we are building the relationship there, and we can make more sense on the data. So same UI, here we see a user named Jacob that download the file PDF. And now again, I can ask question on top of the file relationship and see what happened. What is the story? When I expand this Jacob user, immediately I find out more 2 files here and 2 IPs. And again, we have a layer of graphs. So the layer of the TI graph put on top of this graph, and then you see that this IP is vulnerable. And so immediately showing tags on the graph. And if I want to expand here on one of the IPs, you will see that it will expand, and I will reveal more users that interact with this IP, especially like 300 Entra users that has some activity signed from this IP. So I started with a single Project Obsidian DLP or IRM alerts, and now I expanding it to more risk and more access to this malicious IP.
This is just awesome. Like the depth that you have of visibility with this graph is unbelievable. Like from downloaded files, a connection to IP addresses. It's great.
Okay, but we all talk about AI, yeah, Javier. This is like the AI.
Of course.
AI. So let's see the better together, the graph and the AI together. So here I'm in my VS Code with GitHub Copilot. I'm in agent mode. And as you can see in the left side, I have a new MCP server, MCP graph. This is shortly will be available to customers. And in this server, we expose, as of now, 3 tools. Let me show you the tools. I'm expanding, as you can see, I have a couple of servers here. I'm expanding the exposure perimeter that help me to answer who can reach a specific target. I have the blast radius that you've seen in the earliest demo. And I have another tool that show walkable paths, basically find relationship between two entities.
So one thing on this, Yaniv. So for those on the audience that are seeing this for the first time, please watch our episode that we have a deep dive on the MCP server, Sentinel MCP server, because we explain a bit more about how to set up this environment and what is an MCP tool and so on. So yeah, that would be a great segue for you to come to this episode and watch more.
Yeah, and I know that you are hosting Paul. Paul is a great friend and super smart guy. So I'm making a bit a spoiler, but he is amazing. Okay, so now I'm asking question about who can get or access to a specific key vault. And GitHub Copilot will understand the relevant tool, will select the exposed perimeter tool, and you can see here what happened. It's added as an input the key vault that I'm just sharing, and immediately he can show me users that can access a specific key vault in this case, and the role, and also showing some path here. So this is a great way to interact with the graph itself via MCP. But this is not the end. Let me keep investigating. So now I'm like vibe investigating or vibe hunting against my graph. So it gave me a couple of users. Let's check relationship. Let's check the walkable paths between the axes. And as you can see, parallelism is super relevant in the AI world. The agent itself knows how to take all the users from previous and now checking like the previous relationship.
One question from a newbie here. Is it using KQL in the backend when you're running this action, or is it using something else? It's using GQL?
Yeah, it's using API with a combination of GQL to query the graph. In these tools, no, it's not KQL.
Oh, cool. So it's using GraphQL, basically, graph query language.
Yeah, GraphQL and API behind the scene, yes. As you can see here, we have the tags, we have relationship, but the beauty here, Javier, is not only to do vibe hunting, but it's also the ability to connect it to an agent, like in Security Copilot, Copilot Studio, Azure Foundry. And every time that, for example, you're doing incident investigation, add a blast radius, check relationship between path, and add it to the smartest of the agent. So in easy way, we are exposing the data and make it AI ready to use it in agents.
This is great, but I see that all the data that we are using right now, it's Microsoft data, right? So I guess customers would like to maybe use their own data that they bring, their own custom data, to build their own graphs. Is that a possibility that we're enabling them to do as well?
Yeah, so this is a great question, Javier. This is one of the most exciting things that coming. Let me, a short answer, yes. You can bring your own data starting December 1st. Custom graph are in public preview, and you have two options there. You have the type of the ephemeral graphs, like you build, explore it, throw it away. Perfect for ad hoc investigation, hunting. You don't need to keep it around. And we have the materials graph that is a persistence and update periodically, daily, hourly. And it's great for like building your own identity graph that track privilege and bringing your own custom data and your own knowledge. So you author it currently with Notebook and it pull data from the Sentinel Lake and you can get access to a heavy graph algorithm like choke point, blast radius, path ranking, K-hop, and more. Let me show you a quick glimpse on this experience. As you can see, I am in Visual Studio Code. I have the extension open. You can see here that I have graph picking up. And in high level, how to build it. First of all, you need to get the workspace. You need to get the tables that you want to pull the data from, do filtering. And now you're defining the nodes and the edges. You see the nodes in this is like device node, which field I need to take. This is like the process node. In this case, I'm doing device process user. And you can also define the edges in this way. After you define all your graph, this can be one-time action with the edges. You build like the graph object. You get all the fields, all the relationship. And once you have the graph, you can decide if you want to use it on the fly, like the ephemeral graph, or save it as in memory, like in the workspace. And now you can start ask questions. This is the GQL syntax that you can ask questions about relationship. I have a couple of questions about like process and parent. So you can query the graph, your hypothesis, build your own use case on top of this newly graph that you built.
That's super powerful, like being able to define your own nodes, edges, and so on, and then being able to save that or persist that into the data lake, and then reuse that same graph capability in new environments, in new situations. That's amazing.
Yeah, and this is look complex, but one aspiration behind also graph is to let customers, so even not sophisticated customer, to consume and ask sophisticated question and retrieve it in an easy way. So I know that it's look complex, but think about if we save the graph and we give like an option just to query it in an easy way, now even a CISO can ask question about relationship and without a complex knowledge.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Cool, Yaniv. So just one last question from my side. What's next?
What's next? Wow, man, we have a lot on our plans. Again, a lot of like the combination of AI and graph, more use cases, working with customers to build custom graph and scenario, more MCP tools. So exciting time in Microsoft, in Sentinel, and in the graph area.
Fantastic, fantastic. Cool. Thank you so much, Yaniv, for coming to the show and talking to us about Sentinel Graph. It's amazing the things that you can do, the different experiences that are already the Defender in the Purview portal, being available also in the MCP server. And we're looking forward to hearing more in the future. Thank you. See you next time, everyone.